Hey fantastic people, welcome back to F1ntastic Gaming. You can see we're back here with my team career mode episode 1. We're gonna get straight into FP3 because I wanted to show you my qualifying sim program. And we did a couple of laps. We got a 125.2 our fastest, and for now that's P9. You can see I'm playing with the setup a little, putting 6 wings, and we're gonna lower the tire pressure so I don't have tire temperature issues. Before I forget, be sure to check out the previous episode because we actually checked out the car for the first time and we got the team set up, and that was the beginning of F1ntastic racing. You can see we're starting a flyer on this setup, but things are not going well, and I just returned to garage and I actually do the qualifying pace program, and the setup's the same except for the fuel. I think there's more fuel in the car, it's a little bit heavier, but the tire pressures and the wings are the same. And you can see the under braking we're okay, but at the exit we're losing time, and at the end of that qualifying pace program we do horribly and we get a 1 minute 25.5 and we just return to garage. We go out again for another qualifying pace program. I really want to get this right, but again I retry it and I'm starting it again. Down the straight we're losing time. Coming into turn 1 we're green as before, and on the exit we don't lose too much time, but then in the end it amounts to nothing and I just retire from the session. So we finish FP3 in P12 after unsuccessfully trying the qualifying pace program. Our teammate Jordan King is down in P20. You can see that in FP3 we didn't do too well. FP1 and FP2, so practice 1 and practice 2 it was okay, but we didn't do too well in FP3, and now we get a bunch of resource points, not too much, but we get 955 resource points for now. From this session we get a 12% combined acclaim boost. I get 2% and my teammate Jordan King gets 10%, and we move on to the R&D tree. After FP3 I said we really need to do some upgrades. I can do more for the chassis and for aero because I already did that. There's one upgrade available called gearbox durability for the gearbox, which I didn't develop, and powertrain no need to develop yet. You get general durability over time, and now we go to qualifying and you can see gloomy skies, no rain. I checked the weather, there's no rain. We're gonna go out on soft tires, and you can see I was about to go out for a lap. There are park formula regulations, so I can't change the setup, but the setup is the same as FP3. And yeah, there's no rain in this session at all. It's gonna be dry, even though it's gonna be very overcast and cloudy. And we start our first flyer in Q and qualifying, which is short qualifying, 18 minutes, same length as Q1, and I'm gonna tell you that the car is feeling much better. Leclerc put in a fastest lap of 1 minute 22.1 while I was on my first flyer. You can see I got a bit startled by that because that was so much faster than our qualifying pace program results. But you can see by the end of the lap, our lap was not too bad, and we put in a 1 minute 23.4, much faster than our qualifying pace program. So I know that this car does have pace. We're in P5 for now, but that's gonna change later as more people put in laps. And we go straight away, we go in for another flyer. And you can see at the end of this lap, I'm pushing the limits of not just the car, but the track as well. And I'm going as fast as I can. I've been pushing this whole lap. Hamilton puts in a 1 minute 21.5, blistering quick. But we put in a 1 minute 22.9, not bad. It's better than a lot of people's lap times. We're in P4 right now, even though some people have put in laps. Then you can see we run out of fuel and we can't go for another flyer. We go down to P10, which is not bad, but I know I still have more pace in me. I can still go faster. So I go out for another flyer. You can see starting my final flyer of this qualifying session with 2 minutes left to go. But then Pierre Gasly's in the way. He gives me a little bit of room, but you can see that I lose quite a bit of time. I could have gained more time through there. And then Esteban Ocon's in the way as well. He does give me a lot of space, but I still go too tight. And you can see that I lost all the time I gained, and I lost some extra time as well, but not too much as we come to the high-speed chicane. And you can see that by the end of the lap I gain it back. I gain 1.5 tenths, which is quickly going up to 3.5 tenths and 4 tenths, and we come across the line to put in a 1 minute 22.5, only 0.089 seconds behind Vettel. Really pretty good. We do go for another fly, but that's mainly to finish the qualifying session, to finish the first qualifying session for F1ntastic Racing, and we're gonna qualify in P9 after Norris. We were in P8, but Norris puts in a faster lap, and we come across the line. We've qualified in the top 10. I'm very happy with that result, and yeah, especially for a new driver, for a new team, that's pretty good. And you can see in the end results, we finish in P9 behind the McLarens, the Red Bulls, the Mercedes cars, and the Ferraris. My teammate Jordan King in P20, and now we move on to a press interview.
It's been a great qualifying session for you. Are you going to carry that momentum into the race?
I'm gonna say that's the plan. Keep an eye on me tomorrow and you'll see something special. I think that it has that showmanship to it.
You scraped the walls a few times. Were you struggling for grip?
I'm gonna go no comment on that because I want to be safe.
Well, here's hoping they're working hard to find some improvements.
Again, we get a 12% combined acclaim boost. Nothing more than that, and we move on to the race.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at Albert Park, home of the Australian Grand Prix since 1996, and home to round one of this year's Formula One World Championship. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Bottas, Max Verstappen and Albon, Sainz, Norris, Falcon and Daniel Ricciardo, Kvyat, Giovinazzi, Romain Grosjean and Raikkonen, Stroll, Magnussen, Pierre Gasly and Sergio Perez, King, Russell, Latifi and Esteban Ocon rounds off the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Here we are at the Australian Grand Prix, our first race as F1ntastic Racing. And after Jeff's radio message there, we check out the strategy, which is softs to mediums, although it was automatically on softs to hards, which I will change later. But you can see I'm checking out the setup. We can only change the front wing, which I don't want to do, and we can change some other stuff, but I don't need to. And I can't change the tire pressures, but that's okay because I use lower tire pressures in qualifying. And you can see I'm switching to the soft to medium strategy. We're going to be coming in on lap 6. That's when the pit window opens, and we're going to be going 9 laps on the medium tires. The race will be 15 laps long, and we're going to put in 17 laps fuel load. So yeah, we're going to have enough fuel to go 17 laps, and obviously we're going to use some fuel, some extra fuel as we go to 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go. We get a good start. We use overtake mode as we have done before on this game. You can see it's very effective off the start. We've already overtaken Norris, but we get boxed in, we get blocked off by Verstappen, and we can't get past Sainz for now. You can see that it compromises our exit as well, and Sainz powers down the straight, and you can see that we make a huge dive bomb, overtaking Sainz and banging wheels with Verstappen, and there are yellow flags behind because I really slowed him down. Let's look at the replay cameras. That was an okay dive. It was very ambitious, but luckily I didn't get damaged because I made contact with the wheels. But now we're using overtake mode, and we've dive down the inside of Bottas now, squeeze him out at the apex, but Verstappen, threading the needle, comes through. We're using overtake mode, we're banging wheels. I do not want to lose this position. We're up into P5, but then he pushes me wide. I squeeze him to the apex, and he doesn't give up, so he pushes me onto the grass. But we maintain P5. You can see the cars ahead have already pulled away. Alexander Albon's Red Bull being the next car up on the road. He's already pulled away so much that I I can't overtake him because I've been battling so much with the cars behind me, the cars that are now behind me. And yeah, you can see that we're up into P5, which is really unrealistic, but we were really punchy and aggressive on the first lap, and that really helped us out. And you can see Verstappen trying to have a go at us again, coming into turn 3. We squeeze him, we push him wide. I keep this position, although I lose quite a lot of traction, and Sainz gets past Verstappen now, and I've got a gap of around 7/10 going up to 1 second behind. But then you can see that Sainz and Verstappen, they're closing up to us, but we have a good chicane, we have a good set of corners, the high speed chicane, and we maintain that. We create a 1 second gap. And now let's listen to a radio message.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option. We're leading our teammate by 6.7 seconds. Okay, some information on signs. They seem to have an issue.
So Sainz has an issue, although it's not showing because he's trying to overtake us now. But Jeff gives us a really weird strategy. The current one is 1 stop, but the one below that is 0 stops. This glitch has been there in the game for others as well. I'm sure if you go on social media you'll see this glitch multiple times. But yeah, our teammate is just behind us 6.7 seconds. That's not too big a gap, seeing that he's down like P20 or P19 or something. So it shows that there's a whole gaggle of cars behind us. As we come through the next set of corners, the chicane, we go into photo mode to see how many cars behind us. And yeah, so there's Sainz, there's Verstappen, and there's Bottas, and there's actually 12 cars right behind us in close proximity. But now we have to worry about Verstappen. He's attacking us. He actually gets ahead of us, but we make a little bit of tiny contact, and we push him wide. You can see on the straight he's back on the attack. He's really trying to get ahead of us, and you can see that we bang wheels again, and I squeeze him out again. I am really defending with all my might. I'm pushing the limits of the car, and we go on to later in lap 5, coming through this high speed chicane. Bottas now ahead of Verstappen, and you can see that he's got a great run. We go pretty defensive, then we go a little bit too wide as we go a bit too tight into corner. He's right there, and we bang wheels, we make contact. He pushes me onto the gravel, and he's still there. He tries to go for a dive, but then his front left end plate gets damaged a little bit, not too much, it doesn't come off. But you can see that Bottas now trying to get back at us after we overtook him in the first lap. And you can see in the replay cameras he did try to overtake us, but then Verstappen found the space after Bottas got held up, and Verstappen pushed past Bottas now. And you can see that actually he hasn't gone past him yet. As the pit window opens, they're battling, and now the pit window is open for the medium tires. Lap 6 to 14 is the pit window. We're gonna pit on lap 6, which is this lap. But you can see that Bottas powers down the straight. We brake late, we push him wide. You can see I'm not being too aggressive. I'm not trying to give anyone damage, but I am trying to keep this P5 as we're hitting a load of tire wear, especially on the left side of the car. And yeah, you can see as we move on to later on in the lap, again Verstappen trying to attack us. I've been holding these guys off for so long, but at this straight turn 13 is a huge overtaking spot, as Crofty said earlier. And you can see that they're really using these overtaking spots. And you can also see that the cars ahead have pitted. They're into the pits on lap 6 for a set of mediums, and we're gonna come in as well. A lot of cars behind us are going on because they're not hitting as much tire wear, and they're not pushing as much as I am, because I'm much slower. Even though they're trying, I'm really pushing to, you know, keep this position. And we strap on the yellow wall medium tires, come out of the pit lane. That's a 3-second stop, so it's pretty slow, but it is our first race. It is the first pit stop of the year, and yeah, our pit strategy is complete. And now we're gonna come out of the pits in P21. Behind us is Perez, who for some reason is really far behind us, 10 seconds. He's really far behind the whole pack, 20 seconds behind Latifi. And we come through on lap 7. You can see that Jordan King, my teammate, has come in for a stop, and so have all the other cars. My heart was beating really fast because the AI often worked the overcut very well, as we saw in the Zandvoort GP. As you can see that we come out just ahead of Bottas and Verstappen. Bottas is ahead of Verstappen now, and you can see we just barely come out ahead, and we use that momentum that we have from the straight to make a 1 second gap for now. But as I was saying before, in the Dutch Grand Prix video, Verstappen overtook us in the pit stop phase. He was on the better strategy, starting on the mediums, but also he was really fast on the extra laps that he had, where I was not holding him up. We move on to the end of lap number 8, and you can see that Bottas is pressurizing us. We squeeze him, but we don't make contact with him, and he doesn't make contact with the wall. But we take the outside line, but he gets on the curb too much, and he pushes us so wide. We make a bit of contact, no damage thankfully, but we still stay ahead. But you can see that the AI are making mistakes that are affecting me, and they're not giving up. They're very aggressive now in this new game. Well, not that aggressive, but they are pretty aggressive. And you can see when we go on to lap 10, Bottas is closing up to us on the straights a lot because he has a better engine and a better car and much better aero. And you can see that on the next straight, he's powering past us. We brake late, and he does the same mistake again and again. He goes on the curb and he makes contact with us. Now I push him wide. I said I've had enough of this. I'm gonna push him wide, and I'm not. Oh, the hats are off. No more Mr. Nice Guy, and I'm really going to be aggressive now, and I'm not gonna leave him any space. And you can see that Verstappen has gone past Bottas, and when we move on, he's right behind us coming into the straight. He's gonna have DRS. He can easily overtake us, but then we make a bit of contact. He's still there, and we squeeze him out, but you can see that under braking we did make a bit of contact because I didn't leave him enough space. I'm not sure if he got any damage or anything, but he is still ahead of Bottas, so I'm assuming that his car is okay. When we move on to the straight again, he flies past us, but then he makes a mistake. He goes too tight, and he makes a mistake, and then Bottas, threading the needle, he comes through, and he's ahead of us now. But when we move on to the next braking zone, you can see I brake super late and dive down the inside and reclaim my 5th place. But AI mistakes save us again. In the Hanoi video at the Vietnam GP, you would have seen that the AI mistake that Bottas made totally saved us. And we move on to lap 12. You can see that Norris is ahead of Bottas, and Bottas is actually coming into the pits. And we look at the replay cameras to see him coming into the pits. You're gonna see that his front right end plate is gone. So the contact that we made overtaking him, taking back 5th place, gave him damage and comes into the pits. Now 2 of the cars that were behind us, the races are ruined. Verstappen because of his own mistake, and Bottas because of the dive bomb he turned into me. And it was a racing incident. And we move on to lap 14. The penultimate lap. You can see that I'm hitting a little bit of tire wear, and we have a good gap behind, 2 seconds solid gap behind to Norris. You can see we're not facing any tire temp issues because we lowered the tire pressures. We go a little bit wide there, hitting a little bit of tire wear, and you know, it's the end of the race. I have a good gap behind, so I'm not being so cautious. I'm just, you know, just having fun and just casually driving. And Carlos Sainz on the penultimate lap is out of the session. You can see that he had a problem earlier, and now his car has given up on him. His engine has failed. There's no smoke coming out of the back, but we do know that there is some problem in this car, and he is out of this race. As we go on to the final lap of this race, P5 is looking secure, looks to be no issues, and there's a good gap behind to Norris, and Norris is not catching up to us that much. And you can see that we have plenty of fuel, we have plenty of ERS, as Lewis Hamilton wins the race. Sebastian Vettel, Alexander Albon setting a fastest lap, yellow flags because Sainz is right there. And yeah, Lewis Hamilton wins the first race of the season in the Mercedes. We're gonna come across the final few corners, the 3rd to last corner, and then the penultimate corner, this tight one, which you have to be very careful in the brakes. And we come to the final corner for the final lap of this race. We come across the line to finish in P5. We take the checkered flag in 5th place, our first race.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
And you can see that Jeff doesn't care at all that we got 5th place. I mean, yeah, our first race we get 5th place, top 5 finish, which is really good. As Esteban Ocon gets driver of the day, let's watch the podium ceremony.
We've witnessed some great battles on the streets of Melbourne today, and they've taken a fantastic win. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
And that is the end of the first race. It is not the end of the episode, and you can see that we filled in 2 podium pass challenges. I don't know if I don't think I mentioned this, but when we went into photo mode in Australia, we completed a podium pass challenge, and we completed another series podium pass challenge by doing 50 miles in my team. So that's good. And you can see that we get a lot of extra points, and our tier increases in podium pass, and we unlock a new helmet. I'm gonna check that out later. I don't think I'm gonna use it just yet. You can see P5, great finish for us. Our teammate Jordan King, P16, ahead of his starting. He started 19th, and he was down in P20, but he's made up a few positions after Verstappen, Sainz, and Bottas have had disasters. We're in P4 in the constructor. That's best of the rest, that's great, but we have to go to a press interview now.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
Well, obviously I couldn't do this without a great team behind me, and I'm praising my team, so that's great and increases our acclaim. But for this question, I'm gonna go no comment because I want to play safe. I'm not gonna take any risk. And you can see there's a little sigh from Claire there, but she hasn't gotten fully annoyed yet, so we're gonna have to wait to see that later. Our acclaim level gets increased to level 2, and our team acclaim gets increased to level 2 as well, as we get $78,000 in cash. Damage deductions, $22,000 from my side after that aggressive play. But total we get $962,000. Not much because we only have 1 sponsor, and we won't get too much bonus and too much money yet. But we will get more in the later races as we head to team headquarters now. We still have to do a little bit of admin before the Bahrain Grand Prix. You can see we have 2 days until the Bahrain Grand Prix, so we can fill it up with aero team building, sponsor event filming, simulator training, or driver promotion filming. I'm gonna go for the sponsor event because I think for now that's the most beneficial. It's gonna increase our acclaim, which is good, and no, we don't have enough to upgrade the facilities, but we have space for another sponsor. So we go to the secondary sponsor selection screen. You can see that there's a bunch of options, a long list with different sponsor goals, different payouts, and different weekly income. Actually, there's no payout right now, but there's goal bonuses and weekly incomes. I'm flicking through the different sponsors which have different goals, and you can see the total laps, like lap count goals, where we have to complete a certain number of laps. I'm not going to choose those because that's going to be a little bit difficult since we are only doing 25% races. But you can see that there are other sponsors with different sponsor goals. But I flicked down to PSD. PSD seems to have a easy sponsor goal, which is answer at least 4 interview questions during a race weekend. And it has a huge bonus, and it has a good amount of cash flow. So we choose that sponsor, we got a good amount of money, and we got to change the livery now to fill in the sponsor slots. You can see that there are 5 different sponsor slots. Each sponsor slot has 2 places on the car, and in the end this is what our car looks like. It has mostly loop sponsorships, but it has a good amount of PSD sponsorships as sponsor decals as well. On the Halo, we're gonna use loop, as you can see, because that looks better than PSD, because the PSD logo doesn't look as good on the Halo. And yeah, I mean, it's a little bit, it doesn't look the best right now because we only have a couple of options with only 2 sponsors, but for now I think it looks great. It can look much better later as we go to the R&D tree and develop the gearbox durability upgrade. We've developed upgrades in all the other departments except for powertrain, and now in power I have 3 upgrades, but I can only do 2 because one of the upgrades I don't have enough resource points for. So we can either do fuel efficiency or ERS, and I choose ERS because our fuel efficiency is good, but ERS, I really need that extra power and that extra boost that you get. And that is the end of this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, which is the like button, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you know when a new video comes out. This is F1ntastic Gaming.